Hey guys, I decided to make one last video for this unit, just a review video. Mainly because we're going to be putting concepts together, and I wanted to work them out with you before you saw them on the test. So this one is just um, finding slope intercept. Y equals mx plus b. This is the one we have been doing. There's nothing. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. I have a whole video on this. So you just find the slope. Remember, we need to find the slope and the y-intercept. So the y-intercept will always be a good point for your slope, and it's -2. That's what the b is. And then find another good point. This one looks good. Connect them and count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. So my slope is 3/2, positive. And now, again, we want the slope-intercept form. So after I find my m and my b, I need to write the equation. Y equals 3/2 x minus 2. Simple stuff. We have done it a lot. Again, you're finding this. So find the m and the b. So you can always start, on most of these, you can always start with the y-intercept, it's 3, and then find another one to do your slope. So that's 1, 1, 2. I will go over some of these kind of fast. Because I think you should be familiar with this. And again, if you're not, there's a video on this. Y equals 1/2 x plus 3. We found the slope, found the y-intercept, and we wrote the equation, because this is the answer that you'll need on the test. This is a straight up and down. You're writing the equation. What kind of slope does a straight up and down have? Remember, it's the nose of Mr. Slope Guy, so that means the slope is undefined. And an undefined slope, it crosses the x, so that means your equation is going to be x equals -5. It's something you're going to have to remember. At this point, I'm mentioning a lot. Since this up and down slope, since this vertical slope crosses x at -5, this is your equation. There is no y equals mx plus b. It's just x equals -5. And if it was a horizontal line, let's just say it was a horizontal line here at -3, then this line, since it crosses the y, a +3, it would be y equals 3, wherever it crosses on the y. That's how horizontal lines work, and that's how vertical lines work. All right, I'm going to skip these. So here's where we're putting concepts together, and we're covering 2 topics. We're going to find the slope-intercept from a standard form, and then we're going to graph it. For instance, we have this. We need to graph this. So we got to put it in this format before we can graph it. We got to put it in slope-intercept form before we can graph it. And as you remember, it's the same 2 steps over and over again. You move the 7x over by subtracting. So that gives 2y equals -7x plus 6. So after you move the x over, you divide everything by the number in front of the y, which in this case is 2. And that gives us y equals -7/2x plus 3. And now once you've done that, now you can graph this. And again, we see the slope, we see the y-intercept. Our first step for graphing these is always the y-intercept, so that's 3. Our slope's a negative slope, so it's going to go this way. So I'm going to go, if I'm starting here at 3, I'm going to go to the right and down. So I'm going to go right 2 and down 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if I could fit another one here, I would, but this slope is so big I can't. So now I'm going to connect these two lines, and that's my slope. Again, it's y over x, right? So this one is left and right, the one on the bottom, and the one at top is up and down, rise over run on the slope. I'll do one more of these because, again, I have a video on converting standard to slope intercept, and I have a separate video on how to graph lines. All we're doing here is we're putting them together. So if I was to take this, and the first thing I need you to do is change it to slope intercept. So I'm going to move the 4x over by subtracting 4x. That gives us negative y equals negative 4x minus 5. I can't combine these, but I don't need the negative. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1. And remember, you have to divide everything by negative 1. So that basically changes the signs because a negative and negative is positive. Same thing here and same thing here. So that's converting from standard form to slope intercept. And now I take this and I can graph it. So I start with my y-intercept, which is 5. My slope's a positive slope, so it goes this way. So I can go down and to the left. And this 4x is 4 over this imaginary 1. So I'm going to go down 1 and over 4. And when I connect it, I can also go up 1 and over this way 4. Remember, bottom's up and down, top is left and right, rise over run. Also, once you're done and you draw the line, make sure that's a positive slope. Double check to make sure that the slope is the direction it's supposed to be. All right, those are the 2 steps there. I don't feel like going over these either because, again, it's the same 2 steps. This one, if you remember, y equals 4. How would you graph this? You would find 4 on the y, which is here. And then since it's y equals 4, that's a 0 slope. So it would go left to right like this. Straight horizontal line that crosses the y at 4. This one, you would find negative 1 on the x. And since it's on the x, it's a straight up and down line. We'll pretend that's completely vertical. That's this line. I'll do one more just in case. Again, you're converting to standard form. So I'm going to move the 3x over. That leaves me with negative 4y equals negative 3x minus 4. And then that's the first step, right? That's the first step to convert. The second step is to divide whatever's in front of the y. In this case, it's a negative 4. Divide it by everything. Y equals 3/4 x plus 1. First step's move the x. Second step's divide whatever in y, in front of y. And then in this case, we're going to graph this. Start at our 1. We have a positive slope. So I'm going to go to the right and up. So I'm going to go to the right 4 and up 3. I could also have gone to the left and down. Left 4 and down 3. That gives me my 3 points. And then I connect these points. Make sure my slope's positive. It is. So I'm pretty sure I did it right. Simple stuff. We're just combining 2 things. Now this one, we're combining 3 different things. These are longer questions. But first, we have 2 points, so we need to find the slope. So you remember the slope from 2 points. This almost deserves its own video. Let's do one example, and then I probably will make a different video using the other examples. So slope from 2 points, y1 minus y2 over top of x1 minus x2. And one of these points is going to be 0.1. One of these is going to be 2. So one of them is going to be x1 and y1, and the other one's x2 and y2. And then you just plug them into the formula. It's the difference of y's over top of the difference of x's. So you subtract your y's, 5 minus negative 3, right? 5 minus negative 3 over top of 0 minus 2. 5 minus negative 3 over top of 0 minus 2. You do this math, will give you the slope. This is going to be 8 over negative 2, which 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. So our slope then is negative 4. This is our first step, and I have a video on finding slope from 2 points. But now, since we're going to need to end up graphing it, we need to use our other formula, our point slope formula, because we have a slope, which is 4, and we have a point, right? We have 2 points. We can pick one of them. Remember, this formula is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, right? We're going to find a point so we can put a value in for y1 and x1, and we need the slope so we can put a value in for m. We just found the slope. It's negative 4. Now we're going to use one of these points, and it can be either one for these two values. So I'm going to use this point, 0, 5. So this formula, y minus y1 is 5, equals the slope, which is negative 4, times x minus our x1 is 0. And now we distribute. So we have y minus 5 equals negative 4x. Anything times 0 is 0. And then I got to move negative 5 over. So that's y equals negative 4x plus 5. And finally, I can graph it. So start at the 5, and then it's a negative slope. So I'm going to go down and to the right, down 1 and to the right 4. I could also go up and to the left, up 1 and to the right 4. And this gives me a nice negative slope. A nice line, and it's negative, so I know I did it right. So when you have this type of problem, you're basically doing two separate formulas. You're doing slope formula, and then you're going to do the point slope formula. Two formulas. So I'll do one more. So the first thing we have to find the slope. So I'm going to use my slope formula, y1 minus y2 over top of x1 minus x2. This will be my first point. This will be my second point. So I'm going to do 3 minus negative 1, right? y1 minus y2 over top of x1 minus x2. So this would be negative 4/5. And again, this top part, 3 minus negative 1 is 4. Negative 5 minus 0 is negative 5. So that's negative 4/5. And that's my slope. So my formula is this for my point slope formula. That's what I need to do next after I find the slope. So I need to pick one of these points. And again, it can be whichever point you want. It's not important. I'm always going to pick the easiest point. So I'm going to either pick the point which has both positives numbers, or I'm going to pick a point with a 0. I'm just going to make it the easiest numbers for me. So in this case, I'm going to pick this one because it has a 0. So I'm going to use this formula. This is my m. This will be my x1, and this will be my y1. So again, your first step is find the slope. and then use this formula. So y minus y1, which is -1, equals your slope, which we've determined is -4/5 times x minus x1, which is 0. I'm going to simplify this. This changes to positive, -4/5 x. This is 0. I'm going to move -1 to the other side, and that leaves me with y equals -4/5 x minus 1. So my first point is at -1. I have a negative slope. So I'm going to go up and to the left. Or a better way to think about that is over to the left and up. So I'm going to go to the left 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I could also go to the right and down. The right 5 and down 4. And this gives me my slope. This gives me my graphed line. All right, I think just for simplicity's sake, let's do one more. So the two formulas I'm going to do are finding slope-intercept. Finding the slope, y1 minus y2 over top of x1 minus x2. I have to find the slope first because I have 2 points. Find the slope. 1 minus -5 over top of 5 minus 0. This is going to give me 6 over 5, and that's my m. This is the slope formula. And then I'm going to use this formula with one of these points and my slope. This time I'm going to use this point just because they're both positives. So y minus 1, right, because this is y1, equals 6/5 times x minus 5. So y minus 1 equals 6 over 5x, and 6 over 5 times -5 is -6. Calculator will help you out with that. 6 over 5 times -5 is -6. 5's cancel. But the calculator will help you with that. And then I'm going to move this -1 over by +1. And y equals 6/5 x minus 5. -6 plus 1 is -5. So I did my two formulas, right, to find the slope and then point slope formula. And I finally have my line in slope intercept form, so I can graph this. My first point is -5. I have a positive slope, so I can go to the right and then up. So I'm going to go to the right 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't have room to do it again. So in this case, I can only put 2 on the graph. And that's my line. I do have a video on finding slope from 2 points, and I have a video on using this formula. So if you need specific help on these 2 steps, watch those videos. Otherwise, you're just doing 2 concepts in the same problem, which is how the test is going to be. That's it. Hopefully that helps. At least it gives you another video to watch for practice.